Hello, everybody. I have been trying to just get back on track with like posting regularly, and making videos that are just of substance for you guys. And something that I always have been wanting to do is just like a Topic Tuesday, where we talk about questions or I answer questions that I get often. And I just finished my workout. I actually felt super motivated because this is my first, as you guys know, if you take classes, this is my first Tuesday weeknight off in 8 weeks. Yes, on the weekends, I only work Saturday and I don't work Friday night. But other than that, I have worked every single day or had something going on for the past 8 weeks. So I knew I was sleeping in this morning and was planning my workout for tonight. And I was just going to do cardio tonight. And I did a cardio hip hop class, which was super, super fun. But then I also did a lower body because after I did my cardio, I actually was like, you know what? I really want to lift. And that's my main goal right now, is just getting back into lifting. So I wanted to get on here and talk about my own journey and how maybe this can help you, because I'm always super transparent with you guys. And over the past year, really over the past 2 years, but really the last year, I have been so far off my training game. And I've talked about this like a little bit here and there, but I don't think that you guys really truly understand just how far off I am on my training game, because I post here and there about me doing my workouts or whatever, but I am not at all who I was in my training 3 years ago, or even 2.5 years ago, I should say. I was working out at least 5 days a week, at least. Like, that was just a non-negotiable. It is what makes me feel good. It is my mental clarity. I love feeling strong, and lifting makes me feel strong and empowered. So I absolutely love it. But in the last year, I have had some huge changes in my life. The biggest, probably, that aside from when I got divorced, this last year has been the absolute hardest. And if you watch my ADHD video, you know, because I touched on that. But between getting my diagnosis of ADHD and OCPD and anxiety disorder, with a ton of different med changes, I also made a huge job change. And I went from working for MSU Extension, where I would be lucky if I saw anybody other than my coworkers on the days that they were there, for a good 4 or 5 days in a row. Maybe the phone would ring a couple times. It was just a very laid back job. It's not that I didn't have responsibilities and work to do. It was just very laid back, very quiet. I went from doing that, which did not fulfill me as much as I loved my coworkers. It did not fulfill me at all. I am a fast paced girl, and I like to feel like I am helping people, hence personal training, hence fitness instructing, hence owning my own clothing closet for families. That has just always been what fuels my passion, and what feeds my heart is just being a servant. Like, that's just how I have always been, is knowing that I am bringing some sort of value to other people's lives. And so I knew that I needed, for my own sanity and mental health, I needed a job change, because it was just not doing it for me at MSU Extension. And amazing. I cannot say enough good things about all my coworkers and MSU Extension itself. It had nothing to do with that. It was the job. It was the job itself. It had nothing to do with MSU Extension. They are an amazing organization that does so much for our communities and our youth and our families. But I needed a change for my mental health. And as you all know, I went to the Kalkaska Middle School, and it was a huge transition for me. One that I was not expecting, and I was extremely naive to. I have worked, if you don't know me or if you haven't known me long, my background is in early childhood. I was a preschool teacher for a very long time. And then when I became pregnant with my son, I opened a daycare center, and I ran a private daycare for multiple years. Then I went back into the field and worked as a wraparound facilitator for MSU Extension back in the day. So I worked with at-risk families that were at risk of having their children placed and did family planning with them. I worked at the alternative high school with pregnant teenagers. I have always loved that demographic. I feel like there is that window of opportunity to still reach our kiddos that don't have support at home or that are struggling in so many different ways. But I have been out of the game forever when it comes to that because my son will be 17 in May. And the last time I worked for MSU Extension as a wraparound facilitator was when I was pregnant with him. So 17 years I'd been out of this public school system, and it was just a huge eye-opener to me. And the first 3 months of me working there was a huge transition, something that I would have never, ever thought in my wildest dreams. Like I absolutely, now that I'm months in, I absolutely love it. You guys, I love it. It gives me purpose. I love the students. I absolutely adore and love all of my coworkers. I am in love, and it was the best change that I could have made for myself. But with all of that said, it was a huge transition for me, and it changed my life. It rocked my world. So, my life this year has just completely turned upside down. And that is something that I talk to my clients about all the time. There are ebbs and flow, right, of our life. What do I always preach? That we're all in seasons. I've talked about this. I've touched on this over the past year, as well as I've been going through these changes. But I really, again, don't think that I've stressed enough how much I have sacrificed my own personal health, and it is weighing heavily on me, no pun intended. So not that my weight is a huge factor to me, because this is something also that I talk to my clients about. I don't want you to focus on the number, but I have in the past 2.5 years gained 20 pounds back of when I, was at my lowest from training and doing the Spartan and going through all of my own journey. I have gained 20 pounds back. So I am just not, and like I said, I'm saying that because I want to be fully transparent with you guys, and people have commented on that as well. It's just funny as that is, but we all know how the world is, and people comment on weight. As unfortunate as that is, let me just say, you have no right, and I say this all of the time when I see memes and people thinking they're being funny or referring to people about like their weight and pictures and stuff like that as like a comedic thing. No one should be commenting about anybody's body, whether they're too thin or your perception is that they're too thin, whether your perception is that they're too big, whether you think you're being funny or not. Regardless, that is still a human, even if it's not a human that you know personally. So why we think we have the right to speak on anybody's body is just unfathomable to me, because I've been there, I've done that, and I have mentally struggled with things that people said to me back when I was literally 7 years old. That's something that I have carried with me my entire life. So please, before you choose to say anything about anybody's body, take a minute, take a pause, practice the pause. And even when people lose weight, we have a tendency to want to like say, hey, you look amazing. What have you been doing? But this is something also that I've talked about. When I was first losing weight years and years ago before I had my kids, I was bulimic, you guys. And what fed that eating disorder was the fact that for the first time in my life, people were telling me how great I looked. And so I was like, oh my gosh, people are paying attention to me now that I'm not, 20 pounds heavier. People were telling me how beautiful I looked and how great I looked and asking me how I did it. And all along, like, I had bulimia. So, I mean, I know that people mean it out of the goodness of their heart to comment like, hey, you look amazing, you look great. We have no idea. We never have anybody, we never really truly have an idea of what people are going through. So just think twice. Like, maybe you can say something like, you look really happy, you're glowing, something like that. But why we always have to make it about someone's weight? So I digress. Like I said, it's not about the weight that I've gained. It's about how I feel. But because I'm being super transparent, I always let you guys know. And the truth is I've gained 20 pounds in the last 2.5 years. And so anyway, I'm just not feeling my strongest. I'm not feeling my healthiest. And I know that I'm finally mentally in a position where I am ready to get back into my training. And what has worked for me from the beginning, since I started my journey all of those years ago, was keeping myself accountable by telling you what I'm doing. And so this is me finally telling you guys, because I know mentally that I'm ready to tell you, because I'm ready to do it. But still, even though I'm ready to do it here, the way I keep myself accountable and how I've always done that is telling you, hey, you guys, watch this, because I feel like I am ready to get back on my game. And I'm super excited about that. But I wanted to let you know that you are not alone. Maybe you were doing really, really well and something big happened in your life. Maybe you were doing really, really well and you got sick for a couple weeks, or your kiddos got sick, or your husband got sick, whatever it may be. Maybe you were doing really well and you took a vacation, and when you came back, you just couldn't get back on that, on that groove or in that groove. There are so many reasons why life happens and we get out of our routine, and then we one day passes and one day turns into a week and a week turns into a month, and we're just like, screw it. Like, there's no hope. I have been feeling that way for the past year, you guys, and I've been trying, and there might be a day or two where I feel like, okay, I can do this, but I finally feel good enough and mentally ready and prepared enough to say to you, I want you guys to keep me accountable, because this is me saying that I am getting back into my training. You are not alone, and I want you to take this as your sign, if you've been feeling the same way, to come with me on this journey. So the way that I really keep myself accountable and make sure that I adhere to things is I plan the night before. So I plan what workout I'm going to do the night before. I have my workout clothes set out the night beforehand. A lot of times I have to set my alarm across my room, you guys. So I'm going to start doing that for at least the next couple weeks until I get back into routine, because it is so easy to just hit your alarm clock or hit your phone or hit the alarm on your phone and just continue to sleep. As silly as this sounds, something that helped me way back in the day was I read the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Is that Mel Robbins or Brene Brown? Mel Robbins, I believe. And I mentally speak to myself when my alarm goes off. 5, 4, 3, 2, and I know when I say 1, I am going to get my ass up off the bed and I am going to do what I promised myself and the commitment that I made to myself. And something physical about that connection of just saying it out loud, like giving yourself that 5-second rule and just knowing in your head ahead of time, I'm going to count to 5. And when I hit 1, I'm jumping out of bed whether I feel like it or not. And I know that sounds so silly because we can talk ourselves out of it, but there's something about that, having that connection and saying that to yourself, that it just makes me get out. Like, I'm not going to let myself down at 1 and stay in bed. I'm going to be like 5, 4, I really don't want to do this, 3, but I'm going to because I made a promise to myself, 2, and 1, you got to do it. And I get up. So just being as prepared as possible, even same thing with my food, right? The more I'm prepared, the less bad choices I make. So if you have been struggling with your training as well, and you just needed to hear that it is normal, even for a person, you guys, it is easy for me to do my job. It is easy for me to come and motivate you. It is easy for me to program for my clients. It is easy for me to program for my classes and come and teach you, because that is not my time. That is your time. That is something that you are paying me to do. That is something that you are investing in me to be there, and you count on me to be there. It is very easy for me to come and teach a class and do all of those things because that is my job, and I love you guys and I love doing it. It is not as easy. So even though I am a trainer, it is not as easy to continue to listen to my own words and do the shit that I tell you to do, right? It's so much easier for me to motivate you and to tell you, you can do this and you've got this, and be that person that pumps you up. And if you need to text me and tell me you're not feeling it, I'm going to talk you into it. It is so easy for me to do that for you. but it is not easy for me to adhere to that. And that is what I need you to hear, that just because I'm a trainer, just because it looks like I have my shit together half the time, does not mean that I do not struggle on a daily, just like you might, with feeling that motivation. And I have always been and always preach that it isn't about the motivation that you're feeling right now. It's about the commitment to yourself day after day after day, when you felt motivated to tell yourself, like, I'm committing to this. So motivation is not always going to be there. You have to dig in. You have to tap into that commitment you made to yourself. And I am making that verbal commitment to you guys right now that I am doing this. I am doing this for myself. I want to feel strong. I don't care if I work out for a year and only lose 5 pounds. That is not it to me. I want to feel strong again. I want to lift heavy shit. I want to progress up. And I will leave you with this. This will be my last thing that I talk about, is that as I'm getting back into my own training the last few days, my knee is messed up. My back is messed up. My weights are a lot lighter than what they were when I was training way back in the day. And I'm beating myself up about it. I'm kicking my own ass. I'm getting frustrated because my knee hurts. We have to remember that we are not in this moment who we were a week ago. We are not who we were 3 years ago. We are damn not who we were for sure 10 years ago. So stop comparing what you were doing years ago, what you were doing as an athlete in high school, whatever it is. Stop comparing yourself to who you were or where you were back then, because we are talking about the right here, the right now. And the fact of the matter is that I lost a ton of my strength over this past year because I haven't been consistently strength training. So I am going to give myself grace and start back just by challenging myself by picking up those heavier weights and then going lower as I need, just as I tell you guys. But I have to realize, like, I'm not going to be where I was 2 years ago. I'm not going to be, but I will for sure work my way back up to that. So give yourself grace enough to understand that you will get back there, but also don't use it as an excuse to be like, I'm just going to half-ass my workout because at least I'm doing something. Like, you still have to commit to doing what's hard for you guys, because you're not going to see the progress that you want unless you are pushing yourself to get uncomfortable. Okay. So yes, I want you to give yourself grace, but also don't give yourself excuses to just kind of through it. Right. If you're going to commit and you're going to do it, let's do this. I love you guys so much. If you have any support for me, or if you want to motivate, leave me something in the comments, give me something, okay? Because sometimes your coaches need coaches too. So I love you guys so much. I hope maybe if you're struggling at all recently and you hear this, it's good to know that we are all humans. We all have our struggles, even when we don't necessarily see it. I am here for you, and I appreciate how much you guys love and support me. And I will see you Thursday for Pound in the gym at 6 p.m. But otherwise, watch my journey over the next 12 weeks right here. Love you guys. Peace.